Let's go to our next interview. Let's go from California all the way, well, let's see, I don't know. He might be in California, actually, but he's from New York. Director George Bugatti joins us live right now. George, thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for asking me, Matthew. Appreciate it.
Definitely. All right, let's talk about it right out of the gate. I was doing some research. I know we've interviewed you before, but I didn't know you were from Brooklyn, New York. My mom's from Brooklyn. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, downtown Court Street. I went to elementary school over on Hicks, and I just made a visit back there last week for the old neighborhood. Took a walk along the promenade, and it was as magical as ever.
Now, magical in the sense of a visit, but would you want to live in New York City? I'm sorry, I can say it because, I don't know, I've worked there, my dad was born in Manhattan, mom Brooklyn, sister in Jersey. I get it, but what do you think about New York these days, though, when it comes to being under Mamdani?
You know, the frightening part for me, again, as an armchair pundit, someone who's not into politics at all from a professional position. Uh, it seems that he's got the answers to, yes, there's pain. Yes, people have concerns about prices, food prices, and taxes and living expenses. But from his point of view, the ideology is government is the answer to all these things. And I think history has shown that it's not. And my fear right now is that, I lived and worked in Vegas for 25 years, and they had a marvelous marketing slogan: "What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas." Well, I don't think that's true with New York. I think what happens in New York can become a template for the rest of the country, and that's what's frightening to me.
Yeah,
If if any of his ideology takes hold, if any of the things he implements, and people are not. I don't want to use the word smart enough, but the pain is so much so that that they don't realize that it's got to be paid for at some point, and maybe they don't. Maybe they're not concerned with that. But anyway,
But no, to your point though, that's one tactic a socialist or communist wants to use is to really pry on the emotion. I mean, the mainstream media does it all the time. It's an emotional thing, pulls you in, like we're going to help you this way, and then right when they got you, then they twist it to a terrible thing. I mean, at the end of the day, it's common sense stuff. You know what I mean? We love God, family, country. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's what I think that is tough about New York City, having family from there, having lived there before. You're from Brooklyn, you were just there, but it's tough to see it these days. Now let's go all the way across the country to LA. I'm sure you travel a bit as a director, but your thoughts about the whole thing with Spencer Pratt and the mail-in ballots that were counted and all of that.
it seems like history is repeating itself. So what have we learned? What are we doing to solve this recurring problem? Are there action steps that are taken? I'm not smart enough to know the answer to that, but it's really frustrating as an American to see the same situation occur again and again and again without resolve or without some means of resolve. I don't see it. Maybe there's something I've missed. Maybe it's too difficult a mountain to climb. Maybe the people that are in power are not working for the people, but they're working for themselves, and they make it next to impossible to cure what seems to be an insidious disease.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the Save America Act is something that we talk about all the time here at the network, just to have voter ID, proof of citizenship, so we have the right people in office, so our country goes in the right direction. It's kind of, like I said, it's common sense. And Director, can you talk to us about some of your career? I know we had you on a while ago, but for those that are unaware of the director George Bugatti, and then also I believe you are in music as well. Just tell us about your career and how that is looked through. No, I saw some good stuff, man. I saw that, Tony Bennett pulled you up on stage one time and all the things. So can you share with us just a little bit of the 30,000 foot view of who George Bugatti is and within that conservative lens that you have?
Yeah, you mentioned Tony Bennett, and I want to bring up something about him because he's a template of someone who was a Democrat, but he wasn't an extreme liberal. He was a kind man, and he reached out to people, and people across the aisles loved him because of his artistry. And I don't know, I didn't follow our friendship didn't extend to politics. It was just based in music. But thank you for asking about that. Yeah, I started as a classical pianist. Went to the High School Performing Arts. Had a little bit of a detour in my life. I had an injury to my right hand, which stopped my classical career, and so I got into singing. Moved out to the West Coast. I don't know if those voting problems were then, but I wasn't as in tune about that at that point in my life, which was 30 years ago, I guess. Which is amazing because I'm only 35. uh, Thank you for the giggle.
Yes, you got it.
I've been a singer and a pianist, and had the opportunity to work with some marvelous people. And then from there, went to Las Vegas and worked for Steve Wynn at Open Bellagio, and was there for, as I said, 25 years before the film.
And then can you talk about the film as well? Wasn't there one about Watergate as well that you were involved in?
Yes, that and that's still out now. It's streaming. It's called Watergate: Secrets and Betrayals. It's really about prosecutorial and judicial misconduct. It's about government misconduct, which really is, can be applied across the board. Shenanigans, things that are happening today that Watergate, we argue, was the template for lawfare. But government misconduct doesn't begin and end with just the Department of Justice and the presidency and the White House. It extends to all forms of government, wherever. There are stories right now, cases of money mismanagement in Minnesota and other places. So that's what my movie really is about. It's about, when you take a look at it, it really is about oversight.
And then finally, as we are 11 days until July 4th, of course, our nation's 250th, what are your thoughts just about, that?
I think it's an exciting time for me as a patriot, as an American who loves this country. I think I see interviews on television, and I hear them on radio, of young people, who they ask them what they think about this country, and they talk about the flaws. They talk about the injustice. They talk about perceived racism. They talk about the financial equality. And so if you're raising people who are just looking at the flaws and not the miracles, in my opinion, we're not going to have reformers. We're not going to have people who look at the problems. Yes, there are problems, and try to figure out how we're going to work it within the larger context of this big miracle. And the big miracle is, 250 years ago, we said to the greatest empire on the planet, no kings. And yet you have other people who are not really into what's did I lose? No, there I am. I thought I lost my connection. Who are not really again, I don't want to use the word smart enough, but in tune enough, or maybe blinded by an ideology, who realize that, we covered that 250 years ago. Let's look at the miracles.
Exactly. That's beautifully said right there. This is director George Bugatti, of course, from Brooklyn, New York. We were talking about Brooklyn off the top there, but it's great to have you on the network again, and we really are looking forward to the 250th birthday coming up here. Again, George Bugatti, thank you again for joining us.
Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you.